welcome to episode number 65 of the Cheese Sticks and Controllers podcast, presented by Fox BHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, and iHeartRadio. My name is esports and gaming insider Jason Finelli, and we have a tremendous episode for you this evening, starting with the venerable Will English IV coming to talk about the Overwatch League bracket and how he thinks it's going to shake out. We're then going to preview the rest of 2021 in the video game industry, both by talking about what's been delayed out of it, and then talking about what's actually slated to still come out for the rest of the year. Lots of big news and big things to talk about, but first, before we do anything, let's get into the 6 in 60 seconds. The Valorant Masters Berlin bracket has been set. 2 play-in matches have already taken place, with Ascend beating Supermassive and Gambit Esports taking out Crazy Raccoon. Rocket League's Championship Series will return for the 2021-2022 season, with a total of $6 million in prize money at stake, more regions involved, and the return of offline LAN events. MK Leo wins the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Tournament at Riptide in Sandusky, Ohio, after which a confirmed case of COVID was reported by an attendee. 2 delays of major games have come this week. Battlefield 2042 will now launch November 19th, while Dying Light 2 moves out of 2021 and will launch February 4th of 22. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is confirmed to launch October the 5th, with 20 characters at launch, 2 DLC characters to quickly follow, and more planned after that. And finally, Deltarune Chapter 2, the long-awaited follow-up from Undertale creator Toby Fox, will launch September 17th, that's today, as confirmed in an Undertale anniversary stream. Those are your 6 in 60 seconds. And as always, the 6 in 60 seconds is brought to you tonight by the sponsor of Cheese Sticks and Controllers, Ghost Shaver. The Ghost Shaver is designed to feel like an extension of your arm, allowing the user to reach anywhere on the head, face, or body. The precision cutting system gives a close and smooth shave every single time, with 5 different rotary flex action super thin blades and a patented handle design that fits into the palm of your hand precisely. Go to ghostshaver.com to check it out and get yours. That's Ghost Shaver, a shave above the rest. Yes, folks, those are your 6 in 60 seconds for the week. 2 more big delays. One just about a month, the other just about into next year. We'll get into the delays of 2021 a little later in the show. Right now, it is time to talk Overwatch League, as we do so much on this show. But this time, we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to do some bracketology. That is right, Overwatch League bracketology for the Overwatch League 2021 playoffs, and the only way I could do this without sounding like an idiot was to bring in our Overwatch League guy, Will English IV, fresh off of Riptide, the fantastic Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Tournament over the weekend that I mentioned in the 6 and 60. I also mentioned the big negative thing coming out of Riptide in the 6 and 60. Hope you're fine, Will. So that doesn't sound good. But yeah, let's talk about the Overwatch League playoffs. Will, how are you?
Oh my god, this is like, I'm a kid in the candy store right now. I'm always like, I always wanted to be, I want to be in a room with Dickie V and that music is playing on the background on ESPN. That's like a life goal of mine, so that's going to be absolutely amazing. But before we dive into the bracket, I have to talk just like for a couple seconds about the Los Angeles Gladiators. Can you imagine when we talked, and like, I owe you some Portillos, that's for sure, the check is in the mail, but I have to say, them winning the Summer Showdown like kind of changed the entire output of the bracket for this. It's just like it knocked San Francisco's back into the play-ins. It just changed so much. And I would dare say it opened a little bit of a window for the Philadelphia Fusion to get in, which they have now made into the tournament. So you do have something to celebrate at the very least. Now, I thought they had to go through Chengdu to get there, but they actually had to go through Seoul to get there, and it was kind of a destiny is upon us, right? So we have the Fusion in the bracket, we have the Gladiators in the bracket. The Shock kind of limped in a little bit, and then of course the Fuel and excuse me, the Shanghai Dragons are also perennial favorites as it were. But man, it's gonna be hard, man. This bracket, like of all the teams that I imagined making it into the finals, like into the playoffs, I wasn't looking at. There's like 3 teams that I don't think belong here, and I think everybody else is just kind of like more of the same from the different tournaments this season.
Let me guess, that's L.A., Philadelphia, and Washington don't belong.
Well, I was gonna say Atlanta Reign. I mean, like, like I said, the Fusion have been consistent all season, and they deserve to be here. I think they deserve to be here, but it's like no, it's like the Washington, Atlanta, and LA. I don't think so, but we'll see. We'll see how the chances, come up in the bracket here.
That's fair. Now, in Atlanta's defense, they did make the Final Four of a couple of the in-season tournaments, but I see where you're coming from there. So, just to recap real quick, for anyone who is not familiar with the Overwatch League Playoff Bracket, the way I explained last week, in case you missed it, the way that it works is the top 4 seeds are set, the bottom 4 seeds are then set, and the top seeds get to choose who of the bottom 4 seeds they're going to play in the first round. So if you're looking at this bracket, you're going to be confused by the seeding. It's because they were allowed to choose their opponents. So Shanghai, the first overall seed, gets first pick. They chose the 6th seed San Francisco Shock. 2nd seed Dallas Fuel chose Washington, 8th seed. Chengdu Hunters chose the 5th seed Atlanta Reign, and the 4th seed LA Gladiators were left with the 7th seed your Philadelphia Fusion. Now, that means that Philly gets to bump right into one of the hottest teams in the entire tournament, which scares the crap out of me. But it also means that our first matchup is going to be a huge tone setter, I think, for the entire tournament, and that's Shanghai versus San Francisco. I picked Shanghai here last week on my show, and I think I'm sticking with that. What say you?
Same drill. Just like again, I don't know how strong the Shock are going to be in this particular tournament. Again, if there was a couple other teams shifted out, I think they would have a shot. But like going up against the Titans not me. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that because there's the Vancouver Titans. But going up against the Shanghai Dragons in the first round, I don't think their chances bode well. And of course they could shock me. I mean, okay, I'm done with puns. Okay, I'm done with puns. But like no, they like. I'm thinking this is Shanghai easy, like just the warm up, just to get some swim practice in and then move on to the bracket.
These puns do not do you justice, Will English. I'm with you on that. I think Shanghai rolls. Maybe 3-1. I think 3-0s are really hard to call. But I definitely think they're going to take at least one. They're definitely going to roll the Shock without much issue going into round 2. And then the next match in the bracket is the one that I have my eyes on, obviously. That is the LA Gladiators and the Philly Fusion. I think this is going to be very, very tough. I think it's going to be a tough 3-2 match, just like you. We both have the Fusion winning. I feel like that a bit of respect is given to the Philadelphia Fusion in that nobody chose them. The Gladiators were forced to play them because nobody wanted a piece of them. But also, LA, I think, has the most momentum going into the tournament because of that shocking Countdown Cup victory. But what do you think puts the Fusion over the Gladiators in round 1?
Well, just again, I'm just thinking consistency here. It's just like, the Gladiators did win, but you also understand a lot of the teams I felt kind of left the gas a little bit. We were missing the Dallas Fuel, and the Dragons didn't perform as well as we imagined, and so they won. And you don't discredit their win, but it's just like I think the momentum is going to get shut down because it's going to be a month now when they start actual playoffs, and imagine we were supposed to be talking about this today because this was supposed to be live and in person in Dallas, so we were supposed to be talking about this actually today, today being Thursday. But it's unfortunate that the format had to be shifted because of COVID, and now we're looking at you're looking at a month in between the last time you played versus now, and I just don't think the Gladiators bode well in this kind of scenario. And also thinking about this too, like the Gladiators, this is going to be their first playoff appearance. I mean, this is the first playoff appearance for a lot of these teams, including the Justice and the Fuel. So I'm just thinking nerves. I'm thinking travel. I'm thinking everything else. The Gladiators could have just stayed in Hawaii if they wanted to, right? Because they were already there. But I don't think they did. I think they came home and then went back. So I'm just thinking that the Fusion are probably going to pull this one out. And as you mentioned, I'm just thinking it's going to be tough. It's going to be close. It's going to be a close matchup. I don't think the Gladiators are going to go down without a fight. So there you go.
So basically, you're taking consistency over momentum because momentum has the chance to cool off. In the month between matches. I like that. I dig it, and it's good for our Fusion, so I definitely like it. Moving on now to the third match in the bracket. That is the Dallas Fuel and the Washington Justice. I had Dallas in a bit more of a roll here. You have them 3-2. I was thinking 3-1, possibly 3-0, just because I think the Justice kind of got in by the seat of their pants, and I feel like that they're, I don't want to call them fraudulent. None of the playoff teams are fraudulent, but they're kind of swinging up, if you ask me. What makes you think they're going to play them so tough?
Well, again, I'm just thinking that like the Justice are also one of those teams that have been consistent over the season. Even though they don't have a lot of postseason appearances, they did at least make it into the play-ins. And I also think that the Fuel. So this is a little bit of insider information for myself. It's just like Pine is back now, and
True.
He's in the rotation, and we don't know. Pine has not played with the Dallas Fuel during the regular season. The only time he's going to get a chance to play is during the playoffs. And so you're changing stuff at the last second. I'm a little bit concerned about that. And it's nothing against Pine. I think Pine is an amazing player, but just like he has not had a chance to play at all this season because of visa issues and going back and forth. And so now it's a chance to try it out. Are they going to put him in the starting lineup? Who knows, right? So I'm just giving Justice a little bit of chance to take advantage of kind of like a little bit of a misconfiguration on the side of the Fuel. But I mean, I still think they're going to pull this out. It's just going to be interesting, and they also didn't get a chance to play the Justice at all. Also during the regular season as well. So it also could be a little bit of surprise coming in as well.
All right, that's completely fair. Like I said, I think Dallas is going to play a little bit better, but we'll see what happens there. That's actually the first match on the schedule when this starts on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, is Washington versus Fuel, with the Fusion versus Gladiators after that, and then Shock Dragons, and finally Atlanta versus Chengdu, which is where we are now in our brackets. You have no respect for the Chengdu Hunters, sir. You talked about how you don't think Atlanta deserves to be here, and then you have Atlanta beating Chengdu in the first round. Explain yourself.
I'm just thinking that the Chengdu Hunters are a little bit vulnerable right now. We're doing bracketology here. There's a chance for an upset pick.
That's
I like
true.
I like picking upsets, and if I'm going to take a risk, I'm taking a risk on this game. I'm thinking that it's going to be a shocker, not to include the shock, but I out of all the games that I was think of a potential upset, or upset like low seed, high seed, I'm thinking this is going to be the game that's going to do that. And then of course, we'll talk later in the bracket, but just like I don't think the land range chances fare very well later on. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but I'm doing a little bit of chaos theory here. I'm thinking that this is going to be the upset pick of the weekend, and then we'll see if I'm right or wrong, or if I just cast a curse at the Chengdu Hunters for winning that match.
Chengdu Hunters, 2021 Overwatch League champions. Nice job, guys.
Yeah.
I am going to pick Chengdu here. I'm not going to go against them, only because Atlanta is very inconsistent. But I do feel like, to your point, I feel like Chengdu would have actually benefited from being in a play-in, if that makes sense. They would have had that extra game, because where they were in the seeding, they would have only had to have played one. Granted, that would have meant that the Fusion would have been out, but I feel like they might have benefited from having one play-in game, having to earn their way in, and that giving them that extra jump. So I would not be surprised if the Reign beat the Hunters. I do like your thoughts there, but I have Chengdu moving on to winners round 2. So now elimination round 1 on your bracket, you have LA and San Francisco, and are you just picking LA 3-1 because you think LA's in the Shock's head? They kind of own the Shock this season. So you have Shock going 0-2. That is surprising.
I just think this is it. I mean, I just think this is the end of the dynasty. And it got really a bad draw here too. Playing against the Dragons is the first game, and then you got to play against you would have to either play against Philadelphia or the Gladiators, and so I'm just thinking the Gladiators are going to get their momentum back. They're going to lick their wounds and actually pull this out. And I think that's the other. In talking about upset picks, that's the other one that I'm thinking okay, this might be the one upset pick that I'm gonna hold on to, if it ends up coming true. But I at least know, like I said, I at least know the Shock is going to be in that game. Just whoever they play against, I just think is going to take them out finally. And yeah, they're gonna go 0-2, and then that's it. That's the end of the Shock. Congratulations, then we're gonna have a new champion. So we'll see how it goes.
Cool. I'm fine with that. Nothing against the San Francisco Shock, but I do like new champions. So seeing the Shock going 0-2 would be fine with me. I don't know that that's going to happen. I did pick LA here, so we're both picking them going 0-2. But honestly, this is the type of team that, with their playoff experience, might not feel the same pressure that other teams might feel. So if they do take 1 or 2, I would not technically be surprised.
Right.
And then the way that our bracket shook out, you have the Justice and the Reign. I'm sorry, you have the Justice and the Hunters. I have the Justice and the Reign. You picked the Justice 3-1. The Chengdu disrespect continues. I picked the Reign 3-2. So I have the Justice ending here. What makes you think the Justice will take one in the lower bracket?
I mean, again, I'm putting the same upset luck that I have on the Gladiators right now. It's just I think that like like I said, I just think Chengdu is just vulnerable. That's all I think about. Like I just think they're vulnerable, and they're gonna lose this first game, and then they're gonna have to like fight for their lives against the Justice, who by the way, like they have been surging. Like we want to talk about teams that have like pushed up like really hard and everything. Like we're talking about the Justice here, and like I just think like this is their chance to make the mark and say like we're not a joke team, we're not a bottom rung team or whatever. We actually here and mean business and stuff like that. And so I think this is the time to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I think if they play the Reign there, I think the Reign is just a bit of a stronger team and will knock them off and move on to elimination round 2. But next we go to winners round 2, which for both of us is Shanghai and Philadelphia. You have Shanghai 3-2, and I actually do as well. The reason I picked that is because unless the Fusion sweep the Shanghai Dragons, they don't win.
Right.
It's that simple. Because if you give Shanghai any opportunity, especially if you go up 2-0 on Shanghai, and you give them any opportunity to start feeling themselves, they will blow you out. So 3-2. I'll even add the added caveat that it's going to be a reverse sweep. Because that's how they like to beat the Fusion. So Shanghai would move on to the winners final. Fusion would drop down. We'll talk about that match in a second. Winners round 2, Dallas and Atlanta. I'm sorry, for you, Dallas and Chengdu for me. I do think Dallas also wins this, no matter who they play. I think that they're just a stronger team, no matter which team they would go up against, which would then make the lower brackets for us the... I believe for you it would be the LA Gladiators and the
Reign.
And for me it would be the Fusion and the Reign. That's So LA Reign and Justice and Fusion for you. LA Gladiators and who did I say in that first match? I'm sorry. Chengdu and then Philly and Atlanta. Okay, there it is. I think Philly moves on no matter who they play. You think LA's momentum stops here?
Yeah. So I think at least for the Atlanta Reign, sometimes they need to make a lower bracket run. They've stolen a couple games in their I guess stage playoff appearances, and so I'm thinking a little bit of this luck is going to come into play here. So I mean, as much as I enjoyed enjoy the Gladiators and enjoy their story or whatever, 1 and 2 is about as far as I got them. Whether they won the second game or well, I mean, it would be 2-1 if they won the second game. But just like I just think it's gonna their run's going to come to an end at some point, and so might as well do it here, get it out of the way.
Sure. No, I have the LA Gladiators moving on in elimination round 2, beating Chengdu 3-2. So now our winners final is Shanghai and Dallas. You have Shanghai beating Dallas, as do I. Every time they play, it could go either way, but I feel like Shanghai is just at a better spot by this time in the tournament. They've slayed the Shock. They've taken out the Fusion already once, who was a big player, and now Dallas is not really going to have any. They're not really going to stress about Dallas too much. 3-2 is going to be the map count, I think, and so do you. But I don't think that Shanghai is going to be as worried about this match as Dallas will be.
Yeah, I think this is more important for Dallas in this particular matchup here. And again, I'm also basing this on history. Just every time they've played, it has gone the distance every single time.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, it's a coin flip. But I'm coin flipping it on the side of Shanghai. I think like this is the again their time to shine. And we'll talk more about the other side of the bracket in a minute here. But this is again it's like Dallas who are going to have to come through the losers bracket if they want to get back into grand finals.
Yes. Okay, so elimination round 3. You have Atlanta and Philadelphia. I have LA Gladiators and Philadelphia in a rematch. But we both have the same result. Philadelphia 3, opponent 2. Do you really think Philadelphia could make their way to the losers final? And what is it, that consistency that you keep talking about?
Yeah, I just think that out of all the teams, I don't think the Atlanta Reign has a good path here, but I do think the Fusion, if they stay as consistent as they've been, they've got a really good path to make it far and deep into the bracket, and this is my faith and belief in that. So, you're welcome. I think out of all the teams that we have in the bracket here, I think the Fusion can make a deep run if they keep playing the way that they've had all year long, and also during the summer. Just making doing their jobs and getting into the plans.
All right. Well, I will hold you to that, sir. Because our next match is the elimination final, the losers bracket final, the Fusion and the Fuel. You have the Fusion's season ending 3-2 at the hands of the Fuel, and I am going to be a total homer and say the exact opposite. 3-2 Fusion for a showdown with Shanghai in the grand finals. Talk me into what the Fusion would need to do to take down a strong team from the other division that they have not seen all year.
I mean, look, again, I think that the Fusion are just like they didn't make any post stage appearances, and they could have had some experience against Dallas if they had, but. Sure. The idea is that, like, yeah, I'm really betting on consistency here for you. You have them moving on. I have the Dallas Fuel winning, 3-2. But for you, if you're gonna say that they're gonna sweep this out against the Dallas Fuel, I would also say that, like, not only is it gonna be the Fusion's strength, but I think it's gonna be the Dallas Fuel, like, kind of collapsing a little bit towards the end. Because again, like, even if Shanghai was down in the lower side of the bracket, like, heaven forbid, like, it was the same problem. It's just like the Dallas Fuel, they have to be on the winning side in order to kind of move forward here. If they're on the losing side, the little bit of clutch factor goes away, and again, there's going to be some experimentation for Dallas Fuel. Now, of course, I'm hoping to be wrong because I want the Dallas Fuel to rematch against the Shanghai Dragons in the grand finals. But I would also not be surprised, just as you like to say, as the Michael Wilbon here. I would not be surprised if the Fusion pull this out and we have a rematch in grand finals for the Fusion. And I would and in that matchup, if I'm being honest, I'd be rooting for the Fusion. I would be rooting for the Fusion if they make it all the way to the grand finals against Shanghai.
I appreciate you. Yeah, and I am balding enough that I could be Tony K, so I'm fine with that. So our grand finals, you have Shanghai over Dallas, I have Shanghai over Philadelphia, because at the end of the day, Shanghai is just too dang good. And if the Shock aren't there, I can't think of any other team to win this league than the Shanghai Dragons. Fleta is just absolutely disgusting. Void as well. Everyone on that team scares the crap out of me, and I think it's their year.
Yeah, I think this is out of all the times for the Shanghai Dragons, just like the reversal of fortune, not being a loser team, winning, winning one of the I think two of the postseason stage playoffs. I think this is their time, and I think and the other thing too. Let's say if the San Francisco Shock proves this all wrong, they would have to play them in the winners final just to even get into grands. And so, like I said, that's the only team that in the bracket right now that, like, if the Shock get their crap together and play like they've played in the playoffs previously, one could say, like, yeah, you're looking at a Shanghai and Shock thing. But for me, I'm betting on, like, Shanghai are going to get this. Shanghai's going to get this done this year. It'll be a redemption. It'll be a great story. It's going to be everything the Overwatch League has scripted this to be. Now, of course, there's no scripting here, but just like it's kind of heading in that direction. That this is the time for Shanghai to pull this out. What's really sad though is it's like Shanghai's peaked at the right time, and then the Dallas Fuel, also were rising in the ranks. But I don't think it's the Dallas Fuel time. I think they got one more season to kind of figure things out and then go play. And then also too, what's also even more sad is that this will probably be the last Overwatch grand finals professional game in existence, because then we're looking at Overwatch 2 next season. The rumors are starting to come true, and they keep feeding us raw meat in the sense that there's going to be a demo in the grand finals for Overwatch League. So it's just like it's bittersweet for a number of reasons, but I think the Shanghai Dragons deserve this more than any other team in the bracket right now. So I'm hoping that they pull this out.
Yeah, I agree. And to your point where you were saying the Fuel need one more year, the problem is next year it's a clean slate. They're just going to press reset. And we're going to be looking at Overwatch 2, it sounds like, next year starting in April of 2022. But we both have Shanghai Dragons winning the grand finals. I have them against Philadelphia because I'm a dirty homer. You have them against the Dallas Fuel because you're a little more sensible than I am. But either way, I think it's going to be a heck of a bracket. It's going to be a fun time. Starts Tuesday, September 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Overwatch League YouTube channel. Make sure you watch all the action and root for your Fusion to bring home the Overwatch League Championship. Will English IV, thank you so much for your time and your analysis. It has been great covering the Overwatch League with you this season. I will absolutely have you back on for non-Overwatch related things because you are a master of all trades, a jack of none. And
thank you.
We will be happy to bring you back on for some more esports shenanigans. Will English, thank you, sir.
I'm not just a pretty face. So thank you so much, Jason. It's been an amazing season, and it's like I said, it's very, very bittersweet for me. But the time must march on. So good luck to the Shanghai Dragons for pulling this out this year. Thank you, Jason, for having me on. It's been amazing. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Will. All right, welcome back to Cheesesteaks and Controllers, episode 65, rolling right along here. Thank you very much, as always, to Will English IV, giving us his takes on everything Overwatch League. Coming up next week are the playoffs. Go, Fusion, go. Let's hope we can bring home that World Championship for the first time in Fusion history. But right now I want to talk about something that has plagued the gaming industry for the entire year. Not that it's a big surprise, considering the year that we came out of before that, excuse me. But this year has been quite the year for game delays. There have been a lot of games that were either delayed until further into 2021 or moved completely out of 2021. Just because of development issues, whether it's working remotely or pandemic-related supply issues, whatever it may be. If you recall, The Last of Us Part 2 in 2020 was delayed a couple months simply because they couldn't ship it out in time. So whatever the reason may be, these are games that have been delayed either further into 2021 or out of 2021. And I am using a list written by Gabe Gerwin over at GameSpot.com, who has been keeping track of all of the delays that have been happening in 2021. Now, I will mention that this list does not have the two games that I mentioned in the 6 and 60 seconds. Battlefield 2042 was delayed 1 month from October 23, I think it was, to November 19th. And Dying Light 2 was supposed to come out in December, but is now coming out in February the 4th. Dying Light 2, I like that delay for them because now they get to avoid Halo Infinite within 4 or 5 days of its launch. Battlefield 2042, on the other hand, now has to sit between Call of Duty Vanguard and Halo Infinite instead of coming out before both of those games. So that might that might hurt it a little bit in the long run, but I still think those games will be good. Insert Shigeru Miyamoto quote here. And then let's get into this list of all the other games that are delayed between now, or that were delayed throughout the 2021 year. So first, another recent one was Ubisoft's Rocksmith Plus, which is a PC centric guitar learning tool or guitar teaching tool that is now coming out in 2022. A closed beta recently provided the team with feedback it wanted to put in that launch product, so that is getting moved out of 2021 into 2022, which I think Rocksmith is a great tool for teaching new guitar players the way around the instrument, but if they think that there's more stuff they can add or tweak to make that product better, might as well save it for 2022 and not worry about it for the rest of the year. Total War Warhammer 3, another recent delay, slipped into early 2022. Reason being, developer Creative Assembly said this time will make for a stronger release. It is the last game in that trilogy, being Total War Warhammer 3, but it sounds like Creative Assembly wants to support this game for a very long time. So if they want to delay the launch a little bit to get their ducks in a row, makes a lot of sense to me. However, 2022 is a dangerous gambit because of just how loaded that year is becoming. We'll get into that a little further into the year here. Not until November, December will we start looking ahead to 2022, because as you'll hear next segment, there's still a lot coming out in 2021. Horizon Forbidden West, this one killed me. This one I was hoping would make 2021. I just really, really want to play this game. But unfortunately, as announced at Gamescom's opening night live, this one did slip out of the 2021 window and will now release on February the 18th, 2022, 2 weeks after Dying Light 2. In what is an absolutely packed February. One of the most packed February months I have ever seen on a calendar. That game is one of the centerpieces of that packed February. Very much looking forward to what Guerrilla and the team are doing with Aloy in that amazing world. I do want to. It does give me more time to go and play the first one again, before the second one comes out, if I can find the time to do that. But that is proving to be very difficult, thanks to things like Fortnite. So, moving on to Abandoned. This is the one where everybody on the internet seems to think that this is actually a Hideo Kojima Silent Hill project of some kind. And because of the way that they're teasing things and the way that they're presenting things on social media, it's not something that Kojima hasn't done before with the, Joaquim Nogrin, or whatever his last name was, Joaquim being a Kojima with the letters mixed, announcing a game called Phantom Pain, which ended up being Metal Gear Solid 5. He is known for these antics. He likes to think outside of the box with his game announcements, so a lot of people are on the scent that Abandoned is some sort of Kojima project. Whether it actually ends up being one is another story, but we will see what's going on with Abandoned now in 2022, as it's not coming out this year. Next, we have the Life is Strange Remastered Collection, which is interesting not just because it's delayed. Life is Strange, for those who aren't aware, is games that are narrative style, telltale games, sort of narrative adventures from a studio called Don't Nod that does very, very good work with these games. Very, very highly acclaimed set of games. But the reason the remaster's delay is so interesting is because Life is Strange True Colors, the latest in the series, just hit a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. It just came out. So I'm assuming that they wanted everything to come out at once so you could play the entire Life is Strange saga in one fell swoop. But it turns out that remastered collection here was delayed. Also, though, True Colors Switch version was delayed till the end of 2021. But this remastered collection, which includes both the original Life is Strange every episode and Life is Strange 2 every episode, is now coming in 2022 instead. Next is Evil Dead the Game, a multiplayer game based in the Bruce Campbell-led Evil Dead franchise. This game looks really fun. At least it did in the last trailer that we saw. But something about licensed games, especially ones that are hoping to launch around a new movie, maybe it's because I'm a longtime gamer and I've seen it since the days of the Super Nintendo and the original Nintendo and Sega Genesis, but something about licensed games always scares me. Now, they're not always bad. Licensed games can be good. There are plenty of examples of licensed games being great, but I'm worried about this one. The delay into February is good. That will give them more time to polish what we've already seen, looking very good. But I'm hoping that this one turns out well and the delays treat it nicely. I am a little worried, though. I'm not going to lie. Evil Dead worries me just a bit. Next is an infamous title because of the way it was originally announced back at BlizzCon 2018. I think it was the original announcement for this one. But do you all have phones? Because Diablo Immortal is shifting to 2022. This one's not coming out in 2021 anymore. It was announced a few years ago, yes, as a spin-off on Diablo, the PC franchise, Diablo 1, 2, and 3. Diablo 4, also coming soon, but never really had a release date, so it can't be delayed out of 2021 when you don't have a release date in 2021 to begin with. But Diablo Immortal, the mobile version, the phone version, has slipped to 2022. Blizzard has said it's using the time to add controller support for the mobile game and working on both PvE and PvP content. Apparently, 8-player raids is one of the biggest mechanics they're adding with this extra development time. Good luck to them. Power to them. But that's a tall order, I think, especially for a mobile title like this, an 8-player raid like that. Do I think they could do it? Absolutely. But am I confident that they're going to be able to pull it off? Not entirely. One of the saddest delays out of 2021, if you ask me, is Annapurna's Stray, where you basically play as a cat an alley cat, a stray cat living in a world full of robots. Nothing really more that we know about that. We've seen a little bit of gameplay, but not much else. That is coming out in 2022 because the developers did not want to, quote, compromise on quality, which is good because that cat deserves to be the most quality game in the entire world. And if that does not happen, I will be very upset. High-profile MMORPG Crimson Desert, made by the same people who make Black Desert Online, was slated to come out in 2021 based on the first trailer we ever saw of it, but that has also slipped because the developer Pearl Abyss has new ideas for a deeper, more enriching game. We'll see if that actually does happen in 2022 or if it gets shifted again. Digimon Survive, which has been very much delayed, was originally supposed to come out in 2020. Still waiting on that game to arrive, and it's now coming out in the third quarter now, according to this article, in 2022, with the possibility of being delayed again. I have no idea what's keeping this game from coming out, but it sounds like it just doesn't want to, dang it. Hopefully they can get over that and figure out what the heck is going on here and get that game out, because there's a lot of people I know that want to play it. Here's another one that disappointed me a little bit, just because I think this is a very interesting spin on what has proven to be one of the best competitive and cooperative shooters out there since it launched in 2015. That's Rainbow Six Extraction. Just a month after it was brought back, it was originally called Rainbow Six Quarantine, and for obvious reasons they changed the name to Extraction, because that's basically what you're going to be doing. You're going to be extracting intel and characters from this alien parasite thing that's going on in this game. Originally, it was announced in June, or re-announced, I should say, in June at E3. Was slated for a, I want to say, October or September release. That time frame, I don't quite remember it, but it's now January 2022. It was delayed a month after being announced, basically just for extra development time. There was no specific reasons given as to why that was delayed, but that one is now not coming out until next year, which is disappointing because, like I said, that's another one that I'm really, really interested in checking out. Putting that squad-based shooter combat in a situation where you're fighting against these massive alien parasite beings is pretty interesting. I'm gonna see how that plays going forward. Resident Evil Reverse, which is interesting because it was supposed to be a pack-in with Resident Evil 8 that came out back in May, but then there were some closed beta tests and some other online stress tests where it was not trending very well, so they decided to move it away from the launch of Resident Evil 8, and then it just completely fell out of 2021 to begin with. This is a multiplayer shooter starring multiple people from the Resident Evil universe. Again, it was supposed to be like a multiplayer portion of Resident Evil 8, but now we don't even know when it's coming out, if it will at all, which is a shame because Resident Evil 8 Village by itself was one of the best games of the year so far. So to not have this multiplayer component is kind of disappointing. Ghostwire Tokyo, one of two PS5 exclusives coming from Bethesda, console exclusives coming from Bethesda, the other one being Deathloop, which is being widely regarded as one of the best games of the year. Ghostwire Tokyo, unfortunately, did not make its 2021 release. It's now coming in 2022 to give it more polish and more closely align it with what the studio had in mind to begin with. Am I surprised that this is happening? No, not really. Honestly, I don't think two studios want to cannibalize themselves, and putting Ghostwire too close to Deathloop could do that. So the Bethesda studio separating themselves a little bit and giving themselves some room to breathe makes a ton of sense. This next one is technically a delay because when it was originally announced, it was announced for 2021, but it is now going in 2022. We just saw a little bit of it last Thursday as part of the PlayStation Showcase. That is God of War Ragnarok, which it is now called. Sony has delayed the game until 2022. Santa Monica wants more time to work on it, which I understand. When it does come out, it's going to be a highly successful, highly critically acclaimed game, I have a feeling. they are going to end the saga of the Norse with this game. So where the first game laid the foundation of their time in Norse mythology, this game is going to end it, which makes sense. It is Ragnarok. If you're going to end a Norse-themed story, Ragnarok is the way to do it. The gameplay we saw last week just looks absolutely phenomenal. I really am excited to play this one, just like Horizon. Both of them are really high on my list. But we need to be able to do that, and I can't do that until they release it. So please don't take too long into 2022, please. Far Cry 6 is another one that was technically delayed, even though it was managed to stay in 2021. February 18th was the original release date back a couple of months ago. It had eventually ended up at October the 7th, which it is on track to hit because the game was recently announced to have gone gold, which is an industry term for being finished and being printed to discs or having codes generated so that the game can go out and be distributed. It's done, essentially, and it is ready to go. And that we'll be seeing that in October, which is cool because I love the idea of the guy who played Gus Fring, whose name I now unfortunately cannot think of at the moment somehow. Giancarlo Esposito, there he is, as the main Far Cry villain, Far Cry villains are notorious for being very charismatic while also being very evil. I want to see his performance in this. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's basically the reason I want to play that game is Giancarlo Esposito. So let's see if we can't make that happen for me on October 7th. This one makes me very sad because it's my favorite genre. King of Fighters 15 was announced in 2021, but now it is coming out in February, I believe. Add that to the pile in February. It might be March, but I think it's February. The COVID-19 situation in Japan is far worse than it here in America, and it's pretty bad in America. And that increased caseload has affected the game's development, which is why it slipped into early 2022, which is fine. I'd rather everybody be healthy and happy and making their game than try to rush something when they're sick or not up to the task. So I'm completely fine with that. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. We've been hearing about this one for about a year and a half now. Going to complete expansion of what we know about Five Nights at Freddy's. It does not have a release date yet, still slated for late 2021, but we are now, basically in late 2021. So I'm not sure when they're planning on releasing it, but they better think of a time soon, or else they're going to run out of 2021 to be late in. Now, of course, Five Nights at Freddy's is notorious for dropping sequels out of nowhere, like from the ether to your Steam account. So would I be surprised if they said, "Yo, it's coming out next week," or if like Toby Fox did with Deltarune, they announce it 2 days before it launches? Yeah, it's something I could see them doing, but we'll see if that's actually what's going to happen here. I feel like you can get away with that if you're a smaller indie game. When you have other businesses and other people that depend on those titles being released in a timely fashion where they can be marketed and all that good stuff, I don't know that they're going to be able to get away with that anymore. But it would be funny if one day they were just like, "Hey, Security Breach is out now, have fun." That'd be hysterical. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be pretty funny. A pair of racers here that were delayed into 2022. We have Gran Turismo 7, which is now coming in March, and Riders Republic, which is only delayed into October 2021 from like a September, August. So that didn't go all the way to 2022. I apologize for that. But both of these pedal to the metal racing games, one a little more realistic simulation, the other an over the top, like super crazy bikes and skateboards and snowboards and stuff like that. Both of them look pretty cool in their own way. They're definitely different types of racing titles. Gran Turismo obviously carries the name with it, whereas Riders Republic is a brand new IP, first time we're ever seeing it. I definitely see some DNA from Ubisoft's other extreme sports games steep in Riders Republic, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of mechanics there. But it does look it looks a lot of fun. It looks like one of those games that you just sit and putz around in for a while, crash into a tree or into something a couple of times, get up, dust yourself off, and try again. Looking for that Tony Hawk vibe that we got last year with Pro Skater 1 and 2 there in Riders Republic. So I'm hoping that's pretty good. And Gran Turismo goes without saying. Those trailers looked amazing during last week's PlayStation experience, or PlayStation Showcase, excuse me. Very much want to play some Gran Turismo 7 when that comes out. Although I am historically very bad at them, I do want to see what that game looks like on my screen. Kenna Bridge of Spirits was delayed this year, but that was basically just a delay from early to late 2021. That game is actually coming till September, coming on September 21st. So within 4 days of the podcast you're listening to right this second, which is exciting. So if that's a game you're looking forward to, you won't have to wait too much longer. A couple of WB games were delayed. Hogwarts Legacy was delayed in 2022. The Harry Potter game coming out by the Avalanche Software, which was the Disney Infinity developer for back in the day, and not the Just Cause developer, Avalanche Studios. And then Gotham Knights, the Batman series spin-off starring Robin and Red Hood and Nightwing and Batgirl, 4-player co-op superheroing, also coming in 2022. That one, I would hope, does not cannibalize the Suicide Squad game from Rocksteady. I would hate to see them butt heads and instead be separate enough. Maybe like a March or April for Gotham Knights and a September, October for Suicide Squad. Just because I don't want them to really hurt each other. They both have great potential. I would hate for their release dates to be the cause of any undoing in that regard. And then finally, for me, one of the biggest delays of the year was Back 4 Blood. Originally supposed to come out back in June of this year, the Left 4 Dead spiritual successor by the same team who made the game. This is one that I am definitely have on my must-play list. It's on the top of my list for most anticipated games for the rest of the year, which we'll get into in a minute. Really, really excited about what I've played in both betas that have happened so far. Don't have to wait too much longer, though. Luckily, that comes out October the 12th and not delayed into 2022 as of this recording. Could that change? Yeah, maybe, but I don't think it's going to. I think we're pretty set in stone there. Very much looking forward to Back 4 Blood and all of the zombie and monster bullcrap it wants to throw at me. So it is an extensive list. It's a longer list of delayed games than you would expect. A lot of games really saw some substantial delays, a lot into 2021. 2021 is going to be 2022 is going to be absolutely stacked for video games, especially in the first 6 months of the year. I don't know how I'm going to afford all this, but I'm going to have to try. In the meantime, 2021, while there's a lot of games that are still able to breathe, still a lot of quality games coming, and we'll get into that very shortly. But if any of those games that you were looking forward to have been delayed and I didn't mention them, let me know. I will keep an eye on them and see when they're actually coming out in the future. All right, so for the final segment this evening, with all those games that are delayed, with that big list of delayed games out of 2022, or out of 2021 into 2022, you may be wondering, what the heck is actually coming out this year? It seems like all of these games have been delayed, and there's nothing left to play for the rest of the year. And honestly, that would not be further from the truth. There is still a major selection of games between now and the rest of the year that you should have an eye out for. And I'm going to name some of them right now. Now, some of them are obvious big-time games. Others are going to be, some that might have gone under your radar a little bit, some that you may have forgotten about, stuff like that. Or big titles that you just forgot. Oh, man, not only are they coming, they're coming soon. I better be ready. So the first one is one that we talked about in the delays. That's Kenna Bridge of Spirits. This is the Pixar-looking adventure game exclusive to PlayStation 5. I personally am very excited for this one. As I mentioned before, I believe. It just looks so cool. And the fact that it is making it into 2021 is very cool. So looking forward to that. That's on the 21st of September. Then we have Diablo 2 Resurrected on the 23rd, the remaster or remake, whatever you want to call it, of the classic PC game coming to all consoles, including the Switch. That should be a huge title to shape the rest of the year. Death Stranding Director's Cut for the PlayStation 5. I have not played Death Stranding yet. I wanted to. I own it, but now I'm just going to wait for the Director's Cut and play that one. It looks like a very interesting sort of game. I like Kojima's style, but I just haven't had a chance to sit and actually go through it. I want to, and I will, but not until the Director's Cut hits my shelf. Next is Lost Judgment. Now, this one this is by the Yakuza team, the Ryuga, I can't remember the name, I'm going to butcher it, but by the same team who makes the Yakuza series. This one is more about detective work and solving crimes that way with some, combat involved and stuff like that. The reviews on this one are interesting because they're good, but they're saying that some of the storylines are very mishandled. There's some subject matter that is fumbled, if you would, and it kind of mars the entire experience. I'm interested to learn how that happens, like what happens in the game that disrupts the experience so much, and whether I feel like I'll think the same. So that's one on my list. That is on September the 24th, so this time next week. MMO fans are looking forward to Amazon Games' big title, New World. That finally launches 1.0 on September the 28th. Old school RPG fans would like Astria Ascending from Dear Villagers and Artisan Studios. That comes out on September 30th. For the parents out there's a great kids game in Hot Wheels Unleashed on its way. That comes out September the 30th, just playing with Hot Wheels, but it plays like a Mario Kart style racer, which should be very, very cool. And that's the end of September. So there are other things worth noting coming out. Toy Soldiers HD, Melty Blood for Type Lumina for the fighting game fans. But October kicks right off on October the 1st with FIFA 22, and somewhere Sean Brace's ears are ringing. FIFA 22 bringing in the soccer goodness on the 1st of October. And then October 5th has a ton of things to look forward to. Bullets Per Minute, which is a rhythm-based shooter. Alan Wake Remastered. Jet the Far Shore, a big PlayStation exclusive indie title that has been highly touted since it was first announced. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. Not Far Cry 6, that's the next one. That's 2 days from now. And Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, which is very high on my personal list because it's a new Smash Brothers. I'm very, very, very excited for Nick All-Stars Brawl. Added Ren and Stimpy this week after adding Cat Dog a couple weeks ago. That roster just gets better and better every time they release someone new. I'm hoping that there are other characters besides the ones that were unfortunately leaked by the cover art fiasco. They said 20 at launch. I don't remember how many were on that cover that we don't already know yet. But I like what I've seen so far. I like the detailed videos that they're doing. October 5th can't come soon enough, if you ask me. October the 7th, as I said, is Far Cry 6. We talked about that a little while ago. In the delays segment, Giancarlo Esposito playing the villain, playing as the female protagonist, Danny Rojas. Football is life. Just a cool game. Just a cool-looking game. Excited for that one. Metroid Dread on October the 8th. Circle October the 8th as much as you can on your calendar. That game is going to be absolutely amazing. I can't wait. It's good to see Metroid back, especially in a 2D setting where it belongs. Do I think it's going to reach Super Metroid levels? That remains to be seen, but I have a good feeling about that one. Back for Blood on October 12th. Already talked about Back for Blood extensively. Left 4 Dead spiritual successor made by the same team over there at Turtle Rock Studios. The betas have been very good. Nice, fast, frenetic gameplay that I loved so much of Left 4 Dead. Excited to see that come back in a big way. Crysis Remastered Trilogy comes out on October the 15th. If you've never played the futuristic shooters Crysis, that would be the time to do so. Also, NHL 22 for the hockey fans on October the 15th. That's one to look forward to. Horror fans get Dark Pictures Anthology House of Ashes on October the 22nd. Dark Pictures Anthology is a running series of horror-based games by Bandai Namco and Supermassive Games. Supermassive, who made Until Dawn on the PlayStation 4, the playable teen slasher flick, essentially. Good game, for what I understand. I don't do horror very well, but I understand that's a game, very good game, worth a try. October 26th has 2 space-based games that are worth a look. Guardians of the Galaxy by Eidos Montreal and Square Enix, the Deus Ex team's take on Guardians of the Galaxy, which surprisingly gets better every time I see a trailer. At first I was like, okay, yeah, this is cool, but the more that comes out, the more I really like what I'm seeing with the way the characters interact with each other, with the settings, with the action. It just looks like it could be really cool. And it's by the team who made Deus Ex Human Revolution, which is one of my favorite games on the Xbox 360. I trust them. I trust their judgment. Let's see what they can do with Guardians of the Galaxy. And then Solar Ash, indie title from Heart Machine, published by Annapurna Interactive. That's one to keep on your radar as well. Go watch a trailer on that one. That's an interesting game. It's an interesting game. It's hard to talk about. Age of Empires 4 and Riders Republic are both October 28th, as is Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater, which was the Wii U exclusive Fatal Frame, finally coming over to the States. If you like your games scary, that's one for you. Mario Party Superstars, the basically who's who of Mario Party, both in boards and in characters and in levels. It's basically just like a remember Mario Party, here's all the cool stuff you liked about it. That's a cool little addition to the Switch library on October 29th. And then we're in November. November has Call of Duty Vanguard on November the 5th. That's the big one right out of the gate. Forza Horizon 5 and Jurassic World Evolution 4 days after it on November the 9th. Both of those games look to be absolute gangbusters for the Xbox exclusives, and then for Jurassic World Evolution 2 for all consoles. So I'm looking forward to those. Shin Megami Tensei 5 on Nintendo Switch, a deep, grindy, meaty sort of RPG. Excited to play that one again. Battlefield 2042 is now November 19th, the same day as Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which is a tough look because I really want to play those Diamond and Pearl remakes. But at the same time, Battlefield looks really cool. Not sure what I'm going to do there, but we'll see. Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, which I believe is the end of the Final Fantasy XIV MMO saga. So that'll be a big notable day in video games. And then suddenly we're in December. We're in the last year of 2021, and Nintendo comes out with a 1-2 punch of games on December 3rd with Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp and Big Brain Academy Brain vs. Brain, along with the Danganronpa deduction logic-based narrative games trilogy coming to Nintendo Switch on the same day. That's a big Switch day. Good for them. December 8th, Halo Infinite. Probably one of the biggest launches of the year. Whether or not the game is critically as acclaimed as the fans are going to be, but that game is going to sell absolute gangbusters, and people are going to play the absolute crap out of it. And I've been looking forward to it for a while. Since that first little teaser trailer we got at E3 2019, I'm really looking forward to some Halo, and I hope it comes clean. I hope the campaign is great, and then eventually when they add co-op functionality for campaign or all that good stuff, I'll be ready for it. The multiplayer will also be there too, fully intact, and Halo multiplayer is unmatched. Some of the best that there is. Very much looking forward to that. And then that's basically it. That's it for the year. Halo Infinite is the biggest launch of the year. The only other things that are scheduled after that are indie games Soul Cresta, Demon Gaze Extra, and Siberia the World Before, which is a return to an old PC point-and-click adventure series, Siberia, right there. But there are some games that could be, Shadow announced. Nintendo loves the Shadow drops, and there is a new Nintendo Direct on the horizon, so we don't know what they're coming up with between now and whenever that Direct happens. But it looks like a solid year still for video games. As the year comes closer to an end, we'll get into, the best games of the year and all that good stuff that we like to talk about. But we don't have to worry about that yet. We still got to get through the year, play these games, and then pick our favorites when the clock strikes midnight on December 31st. 1st. And with that, this has been episode 65 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast, presented by Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, and iHeartRadio. I am Jason Finelli, the esports and gaming insider for Fox PHL The Gambler. I'm, again, always so fortunate if you're listening to these words at the end of the podcast that you made it to the end. I very much appreciate your time and your attention. If you want to support me, you can do that by following me on Twitter at BigManFidelli. My Twitch page is twitch.tv/jfan64. Got some more streaming in the pipeline coming up, thanks to a fantastic new look by my best friend Matty B. Matt Boyle is he's a good friend of mine. Gave me a glow up on Twitch. I'm very excited to debut it. Also, I'm starting the Extra Life campaign once again. Extra Life is the yearly charity event to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals, which is CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia around here. I am starting my fundraising initiative soon. Very much looking forward to the 24-hour gaming marathon. Not sure when that'll be or what I'll be playing, but it's coming, and you'll hear more about it as soon as I know. All right, finally time to sign off from Cheesesteaks and Controllers episode 65. I am Jason Finelli, the esports and gaming insider for Fox PHL The Gambler. Have a fantastic weekend. Have a great week behind it, and we will talk to you next week for episode 66. Thank you, and good night.